Good evening, everyone. You're welcome to day 2 of the halftime conference put together here by the Youth Province 1 of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. It's a pleasure to welcome you. It's an honor and a privilege to welcome you to this session, the evening session of day 2. It's been an awesome time, in God's presence. The Lord has been magnificent. And for those of us who have been busy, we work, you hadn't been able to join. The beautiful thing is that we have the recordings right there on our social media platforms. You can go back and just feast on this meal that the Lord has prepared for us in this season. There's so much that He has taught us. There's so much He has for us. We are in significant times now, and it's so important to ensure that you're rightly positioned and rightly aligned to make the most of the time, to make the most of this hour, to ensure that you are where God wants you to be, making the impact you need to be making, being relevant as heaven expects you to be. Let's just say a word of prayer as we start this evening. If you are scrolling by, please don't scroll away. Stay with us. It promises to be a refreshing time. If you're here, part of this family, if you've been here since yesterday, God bless you, God uphold you. Sweet Holy Spirit, we thank you for all you have been doing in the halftime conference. We thank you for what you're going to do in this evening session. We thank you for all you're going to do till the end of this conference. We thank you for the deposits in our lives. We thank you for the blueprints you're handing us. We thank you for the ideas you're giving us. We thank you because we know that after this halftime conference, we will not be the same again. Why is the halftime conference important? It's so important because, especially now, because the world has been thrown into chaos, an unprecedented chaos, a chaos that no forecasting model could have foreseen. And it's taking us back to the history books. I don't believe we've had anything of this sort in the lifetime of anybody who's still alive today. And it's so important because many people have been destabilized. I was looking at a post the other day because I have an accounting background. I found it a bit interesting. And it was showing the balance sheet at the end of 2020. And the question was, fixed assets, will it be impaired or will it be written off? But the reality is that in the account of God, it doesn't have to be either impaired or written off. Actually, you can have an appreciation in value if you are able to align correctly. And this is one of the things that this conference is set to do for us, to help us to reassess, readjust, return, realign, repent where we need to, take new steps where we need to, and launch out in faith. Many of us have been badly hit. A lot of people are, maybe probably still confused. Some have come to terms and just say, well, 2020 is gone, but it's not gone. It's not gone. The promise of God to us at the beginning of this year is that we're going to experience a great turnaround, a glorious turnaround. And God does not lie. He has released His word, and His word will definitely come to pass. So I want you to really sit with expectancy to say, Lord, I'm going to receive from you everything that I need to really enter into this great turnaround that you've promised, so that I can adjust where I need to adjust. I'm not stuck in my old thinking patterns. I'm not stuck in my old ways. I can see through your own lens, through your own perspective, and begin to take steps. We've learned a lot. And like I said earlier, please go back and listen again to the videos, listen again to those messages, listen again to those points. Every single point, even in the introductory points, have been so pungent, so powerful. It's just been bursts of light, left, right, and center. So please take advantage of this. Call your friends, ask them to come on and join in. Call your family members, your loved ones, even your enemies, your colleagues at work. Call them to come in and join in. It promises to be an awesome time. We're going to have 2 powerful sessions, word sessions, today by powerful ministers of God that will be introduced to us as we go along. I want you to just prepare your heart. Prepare your heart. Some of us have spent so much time praying, thinking, strategizing. This may just be the key. In these sessions, you may just get the key that you need to ignite, to move from intention to activation, to move and step into productivity and fruitfulness in the second half of 2020. So that while others are saying there's a casting down, you are saying there's a lifting up. So that while others are seeing the downturn of the economy, you are reaping from the upside of all of it. And so I welcome you. It promised to be exciting, to be fulfilling, to be rewarding. And I know so much has gone into it. So much has gone to prepare this feast for you. And I know you will be blessed in Jesus' name. So right on now, we're going to move on to the next section of the program. And we're going to be inviting Pastor Minister Olan Adefihon, who's going to lead us in the next session. Please stay tuned.
Olan Adefihon is a worship leader and host of the Worship Cafe podcast, who is passionate about spreading God's love to all. Author of songs such as Let Me Know You, Engraving and Heart Cry, he currently serves at his home church, Liberty Connections, in Ilford, London, UK. We are privileged to have and welcome Minister Olan Adefihon.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the live cast tonight. It's a privilege to be here. I'm really grateful for the opportunity. In a moment we'll just pause and we'll worship, but before we do that, I thought I should just leave a word of scripture. In 1 Samuel 30 and verse 1, a scenario is there with David. He just returned from the battle of Ziklag, and he returned to Ziklag to find that his home had been burnt. And he wept so much with the men with him. The warriors who were with him cried until they had no more breath in them. But then David did something, which is what we're about to do. David asked for the ephod, and he inquired of the Lord in worship. He was so much filled with sorrow, but the Spirit of God moved him to do the right thing. And when he did, he asked, God, should we pursue? And then the answer came. He said, pursue, for you will not only pursue, but you will overtake and you will recover all. So tonight, I don't know what you want to look at. The scenario there, everything up until that point before he worshipped, you could say that was the half point of the story, like the half time of the story. Now we are at the half time conference. Now the rest of the story is yet to be told. The rest of your story is yet to be told. So how are you going to proceed from here? It's all premised on what we do in the place of devotion and worship. So as David did, he inquired of the Lord, and that's what we've come to do tonight. We just want to seek him and seek his face until he speaks a definite word to us, until he revives us. Some of us are needing revival. We're praying, God, there's so much more of you. There's just so much more of your presence I want to know. I'm tired of just, reading the scriptures and they just mean the same thing. I want to see deeper realms. I want to touch you in a definite way. I want to experience more of you, and that's your prayer. For some of us, it's about business, but regardless of where you stand, Lord, we are here. We need direction. We've been playing by our own rules, by our own head knowledge, but now we need direction, a divinely inspired direction for us. This song says, there is a Redeemer, Jesus, God's own Son, Savior, Lamb of God, Messiah, Holy One. And thank you, oh my Father, for giving us your Son and leaving your Spirit here. Thy work on earth is done. Thank you, oh my Father, for giving us your Son your spirit till thy work on earth is done. The song says, you've got times and seasons in your hands. You call for light out of darkness, and you don't need a man to be the God you are. And you have chosen to call me your own. You've got times and seasons in your hands. You called for light out of darkness. You don't need a man to be the God you are. And you have chosen to call us your own. Hey, you are God from beginning to the end. There's no place for argument. You are God all by yourself. You are God from beginning to the end. There's no place for argument. You are God all by yourself. 'Cause you got times and seasons in your hands. That is true, you called for light out of darkness. And you don't need a man to be the God you are. And you have chosen to call us your own. You are God, oh, you are God from beginning to the end. There's no place for argument. You are God all by yourself. Was you are God from beginning to the end. There's no place for argument. You are God all by yourself. Let's just let that pausing and sink in. He's God who cannot be questioned. 'Cause you are God alone from before time began. You are on your throne. You are God alone. And right now, in the good times and bad, you are on your throne. You are God alone. You are God alone. From before time began, you are on your throne. You are God alone, yes. And right now, in the good times and bad, you are on your throne. You're God alone. You are not a God created by human hands. You are not a God dependent on any mortal man. And you are not a God in need of anything we can give by your plan. That's just the way it is. You are not a God created by human hands. You are not a God dependent on any mortal man. You are not a God in need of anything we can give by your plan. That's just the way it is. Oh, 'cause you are God alone from before time began. You are on your throne. You are God alone. And right now, in the good times and bad, you are on your throne. Yeah, you are God alone. Say, you are God alone from before time began. You are on your throne. You are God alone. And right now, the good times and bad. You are on your throne. You are God alone. You're the only God whose power none can contend. You're the only God whose name and fame will never end. You're the only God who's worthy of everything we can give. You are God, that's just the way it is. Hey, you are God alone from before time began. You are on your throne. You are God alone. And right now, in the good times and bad, you are on your throne. You are God alone. You are God alone. You are God alone. You are God alone. Great are you, Lord. I am that I am, the great Redeemer. Worthy is your name in all the earth. There's no one like you. All over the world, thy will be done. Great are you, Lord. I am that I am, the great Redeemer. Worthy is your name in all the earth. There's no one like you. All over the world, thy will be done. Great are you, Lord. I am that I am, mighty Redeemer. Worthy is your name in all the earth. There's no one like you. All over the world, thy will be done. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. I am that I am, the great Redeemer. Worthy is your name in all the earth. There's no one like you. All over the world, thy will be done. Great are you, Lord God. Great are you, Lord. I am that I am, the great Redeemer. Worthy is your name in all the earth. There's no one like you. All over the world, thy will be done. Then we say, be thou exalted, O God, above all heavens, and be thou exalted, O Lord, above all heavens. Let thy glory be above all the earth. Let thy glory be above all the earth. Be thou exalted, O Lord, above all heavens. Be thou exalted, O Lord, above all heavens. Let thy glory be above all the earth. Let thy glory be above all. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. I am that I am, the great Redeemer. Worthy is your name in all the earth. There's no one like you. All over the world, thy will be done. Let's sing, great are you, Lord. I am that I am, the great Redeemer. Worthy is your name, Lord, in all the earth, in all the earth. There's no one like you. All over the world, thy will emphasis. Be thou exalted, O God, above all heavens. Be thou exalted, O Lord, above all heavens, and let thy glory be above all the earth. Let thy glory be above all the earth. Be thou exalted, O God, above all heavens. Be thou exalted, O God, above all heavens, and let thy glory be above all the earth. Let thy glory be above. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord. I am that I am, the great Redeemer. Worthy is your name in all the earth. There's no one like you, God. All over the world, thy will be done. Great are you, Lord. I am that I am, mighty Redeemer. Worthy is your name, your name, your name in all the earth. There's no one like you. All over the world, thy will be done. Oh, thy will be done. All over the world, all over the world, thy will be done. In Africa, all over the world, thy will be done. In Asia and Europe, all over the world, thy will be done. Oh, all over the world, thy will be done. Yeah, God. Hallelujah to your name, God. Your will be done. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, doing wondrous things. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, meeting every need. I worship you. I worship you. Oh, waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. That is who you are. Oh, waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. That is who you are, my Lord. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my Lord. That is who you are. That's who you are. Yeah. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my Lord. That is who you are. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you, dear God, I worship you. You are here, mending broken hearts. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, helping those who are lost now. I worship you, I worship you. You are here, restoring hope for the hopeless. Yeah, I worship you, I worship worship you, yeah. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. That is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. That is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. That is who you are. We call him by his name. Waymaker, restorer, destiny builder. That's who you are. That is who you are. I love this part of the song. It says, even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I can't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I can't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I can't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. Oh, waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. That is who you are. One more time. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my Lord. That is who you are. That's who you are to me, Jesus. That's who you are to me. That's who you are to me. In the final moments, there's a song of revival and it's weighing strong on my heart, and I think I'd like to share it with you. It's a song, it's a prayer for the nations. It's a heart cry. We want to see it. We want to see revival break out. We want to see it. We want to see it. Oh God. We want to see it break out, break out, break out. We want to see it. We want to see it. We want to see it break out. We want to see it. We want to see it. We want to see it break out. 'Cause we need revival all across this land. A powerful witness reaching out to all. Echoes of mercy, fullness of God's love, saving the lost soul, bringing them home, bringing them home. And for the last time I'll sing it. We want to see it, 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 we want to see it break out. We want to see it, we want to see it, we want to see it break out. We want to see it. We want to see it. We want to see revival break out in Lagos and London, all over the world. We want to see revival break out in our churches and in our homes and in our streets. Revival break out. Revival break out. We want to see it. We want to see it. Thank you, Father. That's our heart cry. Amen. Thank you for the privilege.
Olutoyin Ojomolade is the Regional Tax Manager for Standard Chartered Bank with responsibilities covering West Africa. With vast experience spanning over 2 decades, Olutoyin possesses a diversified tax, finance, assurance, and consulting background spanning several industries and multinationals. Prior to joining Standard Chartered Bank, he had a stint with Schlumberger Nigeria, where he held various positions within the finance and tax functions, ranging from the Assistant Dual Market Tax Manager for Nigeria and Gulf of Guinea, Africa, Treasury and Credit Control Manager, Finance Operations Controller, and Project Manager in the span of 7 years. Preceding his Schlumberger experience, Olutoyin worked with telecommunication giant Econet Wireless as the tax budgeting and reporting manager, where he had the responsibility for setting up and managing the tax department of the Nigerian business, which had over 15 million subscribers and operations in over 26 states of Nigeria at the time. His earlier professional years were spent with audit and consulting giant Arthur Andersen, which later metamorphosed into KPMG Professional Services, where he left as an experienced senior consultant with specialization in tax advisory, tax planning, compliance management, human capital, tax risk management. Olutoyin holds a bachelor's degree in computer science and mathematics and is a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria and Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, an associate of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Managers of Nigeria, Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, and other professional bodies. He is an avid follower of the Barclays Premier League, who enjoys playing soccer, working with young people, coaching and mentoring, and a regular paper presenter on both technical and soft issues in his spare time. Ladies and gentlemen, with a resounding round of applause, please make welcome Mr. Olutoyin Ojomolade.
Good morning. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second day of the halftime conference. It's been a wonderful time in God's presence since we started off yesterday. Very lovely and expository discoveries, speaker after speaker. We have been exposed to the deep truth of the Word of God. I am Olutoyin Ojomolade, and I would like to thank the organizers, particularly the CEO of Lagos Youth Province 1 for this great opportunity. The Bible says they that do know their God, they will do exploits. And knowing God is about having the knowledge of Him. It says, my people are perishing for lack of knowledge. It's a great privilege to have someone and to have a group of people who understand the place of knowledge in winning in life. As we heard speaker after speaker since yesterday, halftime is a wonderful opportunity. Imagine in a football match, if you started the match and you played till the end, and you did not have a time to reflect, you do not have a time to again look at the strategy you brought into play, if you did not have the time again to see what counter strategies the opponents have brought, except there is a leader on the field who is able to rally, even that also becomes very limited because he is involved in the action. So halftime, speaker after speaker, we have heard what halftime represents. And as I sat down and I soaked the deep knowledge, the deep truths that came out, I understood that indeed a wise man would make the best of halftime. And so I am praying to this evening, and I trust God that as you listen to this session and the subsequent sessions and add it to the truths you have gathered from the earlier sessions, your second half will be impactful and strong. As I sat down learning, I began to get some reflections concerning what halftime is. Halftime is a time to reflect so that you can refresh. It's a time for you to sit down and say to yourself, how has the first period, the first season, the first stanza gone? Are there things I need to change? How can I consolidate the things I am doing. Halftime is also a time to reflect on the period gone and also refresh for the period coming. Halftime is a time to take stock so that you can stock up. Whether it is in life or even as recorded in the Bible, a time to look, to introspect is always a time to, again, come out stronger. Halftime is also a time for you to break so that you can activate your breakthrough. I am an ardent follower of football. And so for me, I have, I laughed heartily yesterday when I heard our pastor talk about the Daman miracle. You see, if people do not make the best use of halftime, there is always pandemonium, chaos, problems. I follow football ardently, as I said, in 2003, when Man U, led by the legendary Alex Ferguson, had what was called the hairdryer experience. He was frustrated and deeply annoyed at the end of the game because the halftime strategy did not work. His team lost to Arsenal. And he gave every of the players the hairdryer. It was even recorded that when Beckham, the legendary Beckham, came into the dressing room, he threw a boot at him. It gives you a reflection of the kind of issues that arises when people don't take stock, when people don't take a step backward, when people don't utilize opportunities like this. Arsenal coach Arsene Wenger also had issues in some of the matches he played, as great as it was. We recall the situations of kicking the water bottle, throwing the water bottle, just because the strategies failed, because the halftime pep talk did not work. Time will fail me to talk about Ray Hudson, who threw coffee cups. But why am I going this route? This is just to establish to us that every time that there are people who understand that the steps I have taken, when I have the opportunity to reflect, it's not the end. I would like to also say, halftime is not necessarily the middle of your season. It is the start of your rising. In life, particularly, it may not be a game of two halves, two equal halves, 45 minutes, 45 minutes. The prodigal son had an opportunity to take a break. The Bible records in Luke 15 that when he came to himself, that means he called the halftime because he saw that the strategy, the game wasn't working according to plan. Halftime allows you to substitute what constitutes an obstacle in your prosperity. One of the key things that you see people do or coaches do when it is halftime is to say you need to take a break. You need to move up front or you need to move backward. And so a time like this, especially when we've had a very stressful first half of the year, when COVID has isolated us, locked us down. But the beauty of it is that it's not the end of the game. It's not the end of the race for us. It is a time to step back. I also learned and I added that halftime allows you to launch a second half recovery based on your first half discoveries. Yes, there have been a lot of discoveries that we have had from the first half of 2020. Many of them not so palatable. But imagine if it was the end of the show. Imagine if it was the end of the race. Then we would have been washing our nets like Peter and his brethren in Luke chapter 5. And so this evening, it's my real privilege to be able to take us through what I have tagged multiply your streams. Multiply your streams. Sometimes we have taken a first half approach that we only try to operate from the center of the field. And we find out that the opposition is not budging because the central defense is packed. It's a time for us to look, do we do flank play? Do we do flank ins? Do we do lobbies? And so it is an opportunity for us to multiply our streams. Sometimes the mono stream approach that we have adopted is not bringing us the results. Yesterday, Pastor Brown talked about a 65-year-old man who is still bothered about rent, who is still harangued and harassed about rent. He said that was a time when he should be thinking about who to take property and possession, whether it is buyer or hobby. We also read about the story. We also heard about the story of different people from the Bible. He said something that I noted very importantly. He said, you've been an employer for too long. Our CEO, a man I have come to respect, also continuously says to the pastors, and he says, it's almost a sin for you to have a single source of income, because that's not a strategy that would nail the opposition. It is not a strategy. Halftime allows you to substitute. So this evening, I want to start our review of this discourse from the book of Matthew, chapter 25. Matthew, chapter 25 is a story that we are all very familiar with. It's a story that we are all very acquainted with. It's the story of the master. My desire would have been to start from verse 14, but because of time, I'll just paraphrase and then actually read the Message version from verse 24. It talks about how the master wanted to embark on a journey, and he called the servants. For example purpose, this period, he called 3 servants, and he said he gave to each of them talents according to their measure of ability. And I use that opportunity to say, the opportunities that you get will be restricted by the abilities that you possess. Nobody will throw opportunities your way beyond your capability. And capability is built by knowledge, by exposure. And so he looked at one and he says, you are able to handle 5. So he gave him 5. He looked at another and he says, you have grown depth and width and breadth to be able to handle 2 talents, and he gave him 2. But I would not even dwell on those 2, because according to the measure of their ability, they had a turnaround. And so I'll read the Message version from verse 24 to let us zero in on the man that we want to focus on. It said the servant, and I'm reading the Message version. It said the servant given 1,000 said, Master, I know you have high standards and hate careless ways. I'll pause here to quickly establish the fact. You know, King James says you are a hard man, you are an austere man. And many people have interpreted it to mean he's a wicked man. No, the Message version makes it clear. And if we all agree on one thing, that the master of the house was the type and shadow of our Father and our God, our master, who gave every man talent. So he cannot be a bad man. But being austere is best defined here in the book of in the Message version. It says you are a man that has high standards and hate carelessness. And that says to you, in the conversation we are having this morning, it means that is a God that expects a high ROI. In fact, the highest ROI, return on investment. He will not give you opportunities and talents just for you to display and exhibit. It is for you to turn over. It's a God that goes for the best bargain, not just an available bargain. The verse goes on to read, he said that you demand the best and make no allowances for error. The Message version is what I'm reading. That means that he's a God who would only at all times expect the best from us. Expect the best use of his talent. And what does the best mean? That means that you have sound knowledge to be able to do your analytics and ensure that the talent that you are given is invested in the most profitable way. He said in Matthew chapter 14, he said, which of you wanting to build a tower will not first sit down and count the cost? Men and brethren, these are not times to make uninformed guesses or to jump just at everything that is moving. You must be able to say, no, despite the fact that it is moving, is that the direction I should move towards? I go on to read. He said, I was afraid I might disappoint you, so I found a good hiding place and secured your money. That speaks very deeply of mediocrity. Taking the path of least resistance. I was afraid. The guys who had 5, who even had more to juggle, did not bury. The one who had 2 did not bury. So these are times where resources are scarce. Resources are rare. Resources are privileges. And as you watch and listen this evening, are you making the best of your resources? Or are you afraid and just hiding and burying and securing the money, thinking that the master is just satisfied that at least, people even console themselves, at least I didn't make a loss. Guess what? Breaking even is no longer the norm. It's no longer attractive. And you will see that in how the master eventually analyzed the servant. He said the master was furious, verse 26. The master was furious. That means he was unimpressed. As far as it's concerned, returning my talent the way I gave you is unprofitable. Does not add value to me. I could have given the guy with 2. He goes on to say, that's a terrible way to live. And I am saying to each and every one of us this evening, as we reflect in this halftime conference, we will not live in those terrible ways where we are focused on one stream, where our fear and our trepidation has stopped us from moving forward. Speaker after speaker, we have heard how this COVID, as much as it is devastating, has launched many into new phases of life and opportunity. What will be our excuses? Because of time, I'll run very quickly. He said to him, to the servant, like that, it's dangerous to live like that, courteously. If you knew I was after the best, why did you do less than the least? And this will usher me into what I really want to introduce us to. He said the least you could have done would have been to invest the sum with the bankers, where at least I would have gotten a little interest. In talking to the servant, I said the least you could have done is invest with the bankers. That means that at least look at the options that you have. The first one that jumped at you is the most risk averse, which is to bury and hide and return same way. How about just considering the list? And let me say to each and every one of us across the medium, to the media this evening, putting your money, because it's something we have celebrated. When you say to people, why are you not increasing in assets or in wealth? They say it's not that I am a spendthrift. At least I have saving. Saving is the least level of multiplication. If it is not difficult for you to understand the mandate in Genesis chapter 1 that says replenish the earth, be fruitful, multiply. God's multiplication is not restricted only to the realms that we have left it in the past. His resources, his gifts, his talents, his opportunities in our lives are meant to be multiplied. They are meant to be multiplied. And as I share with I say to some of my colleagues, he's a God that doesn't depend on one source. If you jump very quickly to chapter 2 of Genesis, it talked about how he planted a river in the Garden of Eden. And he said the river was divided into 4 streams. That means that God will not wait until you block one channel and then you leave his plans and his purposes devastated. He had alternatives. Are you growing and investing your alternatives this evening? Or would you get to the point where it will be hair dryers and bottle kicking and teacup throwing? He said to that guy, you should have done the least by putting my money in the banks. And that means that he wanted us to consider alternatives and always think of the highest. And he says, where at least I would have gotten a little interest. You must see that this is a scarce consolation. It is not God's best expectation. put my money in the bank where I get at least a little interest. As in, at least it is better than this unprofitability that you have brought. But there are levels of multiplication, as indicated by the guy with the 5 and the guy with the 2. And I like what he said in closing. He said, take the 1,000 and give it to the one who risks the most. God is not risk averse. He expects us to double. As time runs very quickly, I latch on to Ecclesiastes chapter 11. It said, cast your bread upon the water. Sow it amongst many rivers. Give a portion to one, give to 7. It means that he's saying that veer into various opportunities. And quickly we go to the pragmatic section of the discourse this evening. Saving is the lowest form, like we saw. And so men of God, women of God, children of God, it is dangerous to live without the least, which is saving. But God wants you to diversify. There's always been those conversations around, should we consolidate or diversify? The 9-to-5 job is not the end. It's a means to an end. It's a path to take to be able to get to the point where you sow your bread upon many waters. And I'll draw very quickly. Of course, we know what investment is. Investment is that you are putting money aside, using money to work for you, to start a business, to grow an asset. And risk is simply defined in financial terms as taking the chance of an outcome. If you say, many people are crippled by the thought of what if it failed. It takes the same energy to pronounce and to progress from what if it failed to what if it succeeds. The 4 lepers, they say, why sit we here and we die? If we say we sit, we'll perish. If we say we go. But movement is progress. Even if they perished eventually, they would have said, at least we saw the inner part of the city rather than the outer where we have always stood or sat. So take a risk, gentlemen. It's only half time. Peter and his friends, the Bible said, were washing their nets. As long as your hands have not been stopped, that means that you have an opportunity to rewrite your story. And like the master said to them, halftime conference is also saying to you, launch out into the deep. We have traded in shallow waters for too long. The whales, the best fishes, the best species, they lie in the depth. And the same thing with your finances. So take a risk. There are too many things that you will need to meet. You need to plan for your retirement, plan for school fees, plan for rent, plan for the home, plan for projects. And so it is important to have multiple streams of income. I would skip a few of the things that I had wanted to talk about. Saving and investing. How can you generate different streams of income? In this part of the world, we have been told that have an employment. Once you have a job, at least you are not lazy. But if your take home doesn't take you home, how does it allow you to even give to others or to reach out or to even do exploits? In farming, in the book of Genesis, one of the strategies that made Joseph become the kingpin and the prime minister was the fact that he talked about how to add value to resources. He looked beyond the net present value, which was the time of plenty of those 7 years. He talked about how to ensure that we project the present value into a future value that would give us some respite. So you need to diversify your investment. Other ways you can generate different sources of income is that you need to start offering a service. So long as they are not mutually exclusive, your 9-to-5 job does not stop you or hinder you from doing a lot of things. It doesn't hinder you from investing in passive income. It doesn't hinder you from starting or selling some other things. It doesn't hinder you from creating a product for yourself. If you cannot make the major product, work on creating a byproduct. If you cannot make the airplane, at least work on being able to work on some bolts or some nuts or some tire. And I'm just using that as example. Sanitizers they are moving very fast now. If you are unable to complete this value chain of sanitizer, there must be somewhere you can jump in. Food business is like magic now. If you cannot run a restaurant, can you supply snails? Can you get pepper across from the manufacturers to the people who need them? You can create a product also apart from rendering a service. You also can invest in real estate. Very quickly, I would talk about how some of the very quick ways you can multiply your income, at least in terms of the passive income one. The first one, which we are all very used to, is earned income. If your earned income cannot afford you an opportunity to create other streams, you need to again look at your strategy this halftime and say, like Jesus, like the master said to that servant, at least you could have 9 to 5 is about 8 hours. Can I put it into a different use that will give me better return? And one of the things I have seen in this part of the world, God willing, we would have time to talk about it again, is that people do not look at their balance sheets and profit and loss accounts. What is the essence of any 120K if the expense that you will need to expend to generate that 120K is 70,000? Meanwhile, you have not even considered all the wear and tear to yourself. Meanwhile, you could do something, sell a product, provide a service that does not even need to take you out, and you make 40,000 or 50,000 at the end of the day. Who's benefiting? You must look at your personal balance sheet. So you must have earned income, which is the 9 to 5. You must also have profit income, which is, like I have said before, start a business, sell a service, create a product. It's also very important that you must have interest income. Like Jesus said in that Matthew 25, that means that there must be a part of your earned income that earns additional interest. You must have residual income. That residual income is you put your money into some other wheels, to let your money work for you. Look at value chains that people are creating all around. Be a part of the value chain. Let the residual income come to you. Write a book. There are so many authors online now. If time permits me, I will be going through some very quick online businesses that are easy to delve into without thinking. All you need is that your phone or your iPad. And in the corner of your room, you are somehow getting a bit of the action. I do have some of my mentees who simply sit down, go to Alibaba, go to eBay, go to the other, they add profit margins, not thinking. No thinking required. You also can earn dividend income. Dividend income. I'm talking about dividend income. One of the reasons why it is very important to do halftime. Even organizations do it. They prepare what is called interim accounts. They do interim audits. And the children of the world are wise in their ways. How much more we who are children of the kingdom? We should never wait until the final whistle goes before we start complaining about not winning. So you must earn dividend. By the interim dividend, you can say to yourself, I need to move away from this stock or move to another. There's also rental income. Many of us on this broadcast are pastors. Beyond what is the use you are putting, even the auditorium you have, so long as it is not counter to the glory and the glory and edification of the name of God. Why pay for a year, 365 days, and out of those, over 200 days are idle and not used? I know of people who go into crashes. I know of people who go into where they have free spaces. You can host events there, so long as it is not conflicting with the objects of our belief and what we stand for. And from that, you transpose that thinking even to what is your church boss doing? Only when the senior pastor wants to use it. Monday to Friday, the driver is just cruising in it or dozing in it. There are things we need to start thinking about. You must also think about how to do capital gains, get assets that multiply, assets that grow. The conversation has been on for so many years. Sometimes, why go into a car that is a liability than think of an asset that will generate more income? The Joneses at times trying to meet up to the Joneses keeps us down. Time is running. Royalty income is there. When I go to some of the online opportunities now, you would see that even you can earn royalty from the book you have written. You can't do it. You know, many of us, and I have heard some of the people talk about it very often. I would have loved to give us tips to stop those excuses that stop us from starting our business. Address those excuses and move. Talk to God. David simply says, shall I pursue? Shall I recover? Shall I overtake? And God says, pursue. He did not say that you will meet them lying down. He did not say that manna will drop on your feet. Nobody told you it will be easy. But trust me, if he told you to go ahead, he's not going to leave you. Leave those excuses. And in going out to provide a service or a product, do not have profit at the top of your scale. Provide a solution. Mask and not wearing mask now is illegal. That's a market. Like I said, because of that, this is just to spur us to say as we go into the second half, it is a time to take stock and stock up. It's a time to go into that dressing room and look again at the drawing board, which we are very used to in Nigeria. We always go back to the drawing board and then still do the same thing the same way. Who do you need to substitute? Who is an obstacle? What approach do you need to change? Yes, we are recovering from a lockdown, but it is not a shutdown. Very quickly, because of time, I know I have less than 5 minutes. Online businesses you can think of or do with time. Someday offline, we may also talk about it. You can create a YouTube channel. One of the easy peasies. What is the point saying I have 1,000 followers? You can be a traffic manager, digital ones. There are people now who are willing to offer money if you can drive traffic to their products. What are you doing? If you can replay my advert on your site and 500 people can like, there's money in it. You can be a ghostwriter. There are tools and devices online. Yes, you like to write. You can be an online public speaker. Many of us Christians, we understand the cliches. We understand we've got the gift of the gab. Record them, place it somewhere. Get someone to advertise on it. Get people to read it and like it. You can do video production. You can do e-commerce. E-commerce, I said before, is a gold mine. You can create websites. One thing that is very important when I was talking about what is hindering you from taking those steps to create the business, sometimes it is knowledge. Many of us, our greatest excuses are just a reflection of our insecurity. Because if you do not know, you cannot grow. You cannot give what you don't have. People are sensitive and can tell whether that is garbage or this is proper stuff. You can do bookkeeping online. You can create online workshops and classes. People are reaping huge rewards from being online teachers. You can author an ebook. As I round off now, I just want to say, we have spent half of the year, or we will soon cross the half of the year. There's no better time than now and thank God for this opportunity that we have been provided. Brothers, if you've lost anything, you have not lost everything. Our greatest incapacity is our refusal to move. Like that man by the pool of Siloam, I have no man. Every time the water is stirred. Brothers, they that are for us are more than they that are against us. Even the fact that you have this opportunity to be able to tap into the resources that have been shared over the few days is a great asset. It's a network that moves and increases your net worth. I want to leave you with a challenge to say, thank you very much for listening. We are going into other sessions. God will help us to make the move. And before the year ends, even if we are 3 goals down, the man miracles or personal miracles will happen in our life. And instead of washing our nets, we will be having a great drought. God bless you and stay in the multiple streams.
Mr. Kayode Peter has corporate and banking experience spanning over 25 years. He graduated with a BSc degree in economics as a USC scholar from the University of Ibadan in 1982. He obtained a master's degree in international management as a Rotary International Scholar from the American Graduate School of International Management, Thunderbird Campus, Glendale, Arizona. He's an alumnus of Lagos Business School and London Business School. He's also an alumnus of the Hagar Institute in Singapore. He's an ordained senior pastor of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. Peter started his banking career in 1986 at Citibank, Nigeria. He subsequently joined Industrial Bank Limited as part of the pioneer team in the role of head trade finance. He left the bank in 1991 to run Credit Lease Nigeria Limited, a company founded by him to pursue his dream in export business. Mr. Peter came back to the banking industry in 1996 by joining FSB International Bank as AGM, Head of Middle Tier Market and Public Sector. He later served as Group Head, Commercial and Consumer Banking Group. He also headed the Corporate Banking and Energy Groups. He was promoted to Executive Director of the bank and Managing Director of NSEC, the Energy Division, in March 2001. Mr. Peter joined First Interstate Bank PLC in August 2004 as Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer. He led the bank successfully through a merger with 8 other banks to form Unity Bank PLC. From January 2006 to February 2009, when he voluntarily retired, he served as Executive Director of Unity Bank PLC in charge of corporate banking and treasury management. Olukayode Peter had participated in many innovative transactions in the Nigerian capital market. He was the chairman of the technical committee that led to the merger of Centerpoint Security Limited and First Ventures Limited to form Unity Registrars Limited, and served as chairman of the Unity Registrars Limited. He was the chairman of the technical committee of the landmark transaction where 9 banks were merged to form Unity Bank PLC and the listing of the bank on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Mr. Peter has also served as the alternative director of Kakawa Discount House Limited, director, New Dev Co Investments and Security Limited, director, Bank International du Benin, and currently chairman of the Habitation of Hope, an NGO set up by Pastor Mrs. Folu Adeboye to salvage, transform, and empower the abandoned, hopeless, and homeless street boys and girls in our society. He was recently the MD, CEO of Caroline Properties Limited and Director of Excel ENP Limited, ENP Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, with a resounding round of applause, please welcome to the Halftime Conference 2020, Mr. Kayode Peter.
And thank you for inviting me to be a speaker tonight. I believe that people are being blessed by what they are hearing. I heard most of the things that Pastor Toyin said, and I was blessed. And I pray that the few minutes we're going to spend together, be able to share one or two things together. Now, the theme of the talk I have tonight is recognizing and maximizing opportunities in the new era. Definitely, things have changed, and things will not be the same anymore. If you look at the year 2020, I remembered when the year started and we had the watch night service, even in my own church. The word we heard was that this year 2020 was going to be a year like no other year. A year people are going to look back and say, I never had it so good. But then, this is halftime. And when you look at what has happened in the last 3 months, people are wondering whether it's the same 2020 or another 2020. If you look at our country, Nigeria, things have changed. The approved budget for the year, was talking about 10.594 trillion naira. The assumed price for oil was $57 per barrel. Production, about 2.18 million barrels per day. Exchange rate was assumed at 305. All of this were pre-COVID-19. But since that time, things have changed. People now say we are in the VUCA world. VUCA, V-U-C-A. It means we're in a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous society now. Since COVID-19 started from China, it has now gone around the whole world. People are dying in their thousands. And most parts of the world, the economy had to be shut down. So for most governments now, they are in a dilemma. Either to save people's lives by keeping the lockdown on, or to allow the economy to restart and save the economy from collapse. For Nigeria, we have the same problem. A new budget had to be prepared and sent to Assembly for approval. Even though the trim down in the budget was not much, but when you look at the assumptions, things have changed. From $57 per barrel, we're talking now of $25 per barrel, and then 1.94 million barrels of oil per day. Even that one now, because of the agreements with OPEC, that has to be reduced. So the oil revenue might go down about 80%. For those who don't fully understand what that means, oil contributes about 90% of our exports. The exchange rate has changed. We're talking of 305. Now the official rate is about 360. And from what we heard from CBN governor, that might go up to about 380 or slightly over 380. So things have changed. But some of us who are listening to me are not really economists. And you are saying, well, we want you to break down this thing for us. What does it mean for my business? Let me just take, for instance, a simple business like event center. Now, event centers are shut. What does that mean? It means musicians that normally you will have invited to come and play, when you have functions, don't have jobs. Caterers that prepare the food, now there's no business. There are some people that specialize on cocktails. It means there's no business. There are people that bring chairs, to those functions. No business. There are people who specialize on interior decoration. No business. There are people that make ashwabis, those uniforms. No business. Wedding gowns, suits for the men, bridal train, no business. There are MCs, no business. There are ushers, no business. There are bouncers, no business. There are gifts that are exchanged. Nobody is buying, nobody is selling. There are people that change money. Nothing is happening. makeup artists, people that make money tying gele, no business. Suppliers of chicken, rams that people will need to make all of those food, no business. Suppliers of pepper, yam. So it goes on and on. Suppliers of cosmetics. This is what we're talking about. So it might look like a small thing, but it's a big thing. So I will take that as an introduction. There are slides that are prepared for us, and I'm sure for those of you that want some of these slides, the organizers can let you have access to the slides. So let's now look at the slides, now that we have a kind of context that we are talking from. So the slide 2, I have tried to explain this, that things have changed. And I've tried to make this practical with what I have described and what is happening. So we can skip this slide and go to slide 3 also. So businesses are experiencing cash flow challenges with little cash on hand. Lockdown in many states are affecting businesses. Supply chains are missing links. Some employees are unable to work seamlessly depending on the nature of their jobs. Consumer confidence is low, except for essential products and services. Consumer habits have been halved with a shift largely to online channels. But like you see in red there, it says, despite the adverse impact of the pandemic on the economy, a number of opportunities exist. As the saying goes, in the midst of every crisis, there are opportunities that we can have. And I'm praying that today, as we listen, the good Lord will make us to understand where we can come in and what we can do in Jesus' mighty name. So let's go to the next slide. So what are the entrepreneurial opportunities that we see? And you have a definition there. An entrepreneurial opportunity emerges at the point when individual aspirations and economic and social conditions are perceived to be favorable to create something that is attractive, durable, timely, and value-adding to end users. So you have to look at what is happening and say to yourself, what can I do? How can I do things? What can I do better? Where are the areas of opportunities in this pandemic situation that we're going through? Because there are opportunities, there are winners and there are losers. Despite the magnitude of disruption caused by COVID-19 pandemic, there are several opportunities in core and emerging sectors. So let's look at the next slide. So how can businesses identify these opportunities today? There are 3 main things that I have put there. 1, observe industry trends and insights. What can you do? For instance, I mentioned the issue of the people that have all these event centers. There's somebody that I was told, when he or she studied the environment and knows that, look, there's no business, the person has now converted that event center into a day market, was able to get people together who sell different kinds of things, and they come and sell in the event center. At least it is not idle, it's a market. The person is still making some money, rather than stay home and say, there's no business. Listen to customers and your potential clients. They will tell you what their needs are. Then you'll be able to see how you can meet some of those needs that they have. Number 3, conduct competitive analysis. What is competition doing? What can you do? How can you stay alive? Because for you to be able to take care of your family, take care of your staff, the company must stay alive. And I pray that the wisdom you require, to stay alive at this time and not to go under, God will grant unto you in Jesus' mighty name. Like I said, the opportunities even in this COVID-19 pandemic. What are the areas that we see growth? There is upsurge in leveraging technology in doing business. Now, many of you are listening to me and in various places. Some in Nigeria, some outside Nigeria, some in the car, some in the offices, and yet, you are able to listen and follow and get value from what we are doing. Before, we'll have been thinking of which hall are we going to have to take all the youth, and they can come with all their vehicles and everybody will be there, a lot of money. Now we're able to leverage on technology. What is happening? There is higher demand for made in Nigeria goods and services. Because of the foreign exchange, Naira has been devalued to a large extent. Things cost more when you import them. So what can you do in Nigeria? What are the products that you can make in Nigeria that people can buy cheaper than imported goods? Sometimes people even want to buy the imported one, but they're not available. If you do research, there are areas you can plug into the value chain. There is shift in customer shopping habits from in-store to e-commerce. You can order now from Konga, all of these companies, and they will bring what you want right there to your house. So if you have a store and people are not coming, is there a way you can add e-commerce and you can have people who will help you with logistics of taking your goods to those that want to buy the goods? Rise in telehealth solutions. Even doctors, they want, if as much as possible, they don't want to have to sit in front of the customers, patients all the time. If you are a doctor or you're a healthcare business, what can you do in the area of telehealth solutions? Shift in business customer interactions from physical to online. That you'll also have to see as the trend of today. New feature with work from home and remote working schemes. Some of us in the banking industry, the senior people, have not been in the office for the past 2-3 months. Be working online, So have you prepared your business to work online? Increase in digital content consumption due to movement restriction. M&As, because the costs has gone up in most places, banks are trying to lower their costs. We foresee there may be some measures to save costs. Of course, people might lose their jobs, but then if you are working in the bank, based on the type of job that you are doing, how are you preparing yourself for the changes that might happen in the banking industry? Now, let's even look at, maybe you are a pastor and you are listening to me. Today, to be a good pastor, you have to have a lot of skills. For instance, if you have a church and you are not online, and now churches are shut, it means your church is shut. If you are not online in your church, how do you collect tithes and offerings? Because people want to pay, but they cannot pay. Even if you are online as a church and you don't have good content, nowadays, it takes just 1 or 2 seconds for them to go from your church to a church in America or in Australia or in Dubai that have good content, and the pastor is bringing them words of life. So even as a pastor with IT skills, you must also be relevant and be hearing from God. People must believe that they're getting value from your church. Otherwise, you will lose your membership. So things have changed. If you're a pastor today and you don't even understand management, with the way things are happening, there'll be a problem. How do you run a church with reduced income? So we are in a different world, and it's unlikely the world will go back to what it used to be before. What are the sectors today that we are seeing that they are doing well in this pandemic? Healthcare, they are doing well. People who are sick have to go to the hospital. They have to be treated. People will pay premium money at this time. There are ways of testing different kinds of things. So healthcare is doing very well. Information and communications. All of us need data. These people are smiling all the way to the bank. Agro-processing and agribusiness. We must feed ourselves. So if you're in that business, it's likely you will do well, because under this pandemic, they are favored. There are areas too that are impacted negatively. Oil and gas. Imagine that you had invested in a marginal field, or you bought shares from one of the big oil companies who were selling part of the assets, and they had valued the price of oil at $100 per barrel. You had borrowed money and you had bought. Now $25 per barrel, very people, if they don't go bankrupt, only God will help them. Or you borrowed money and you've done some work and you've done some expansion, and the price you're talking about is about 1/4 of what you put in your projections. There's problem. That is why many of the oil companies today are talking of reducing their overheads between 20 and 40%. And ultimately, some people might have to leave their jobs in those industries. Tourism, hospitality, most of the hotels are shut. Eiffel Tower in Paris been shut. They said the longest time from Second World War, just opened maybe this week. Transportation, Hertz, one of those names that you see when you go overseas and you can take cars from them, file for bankruptcy. So aviation, planes are packed. They're not able to fly. Pilots are being laid off. Air hostesses are being laid off. People that supply food to the airlines, they're having their own challenges. Logistics, education, schools are shut. In the private schools, for instance, you keep on reading on the internet, they are saying, private teachers, please pay us. But there are no students in school. There are no pupils. So how are they going to get paid? Financial services, creative industries. You can imagine all the film houses. Who wants to go and stay in a film house now to watch a movie or go to a theater? These areas are being impacted. And if you are in any of those industries, you have to think about yourself, your family, and long term. Possibly begin to look at areas where you can shift to. If what you see in your own industry is not temporary, it may be permanent. Impact neutral sectors, renewable energy, and defense. But that might change overnight. Next slide. But let us be Nigeria specific. Like I said, food and agro-processing is a good area to go into, because all the imported mangoes, if you can grow mangoes in Nigeria, then you don't have to wait for mangoes from South Africa or from the Latin America. So many things people can get into, in food and agro-processing. Logistics, people at home, they want things brought to their homes. Now they need people to handle logistics. You can do well in that area. Creative industry, things are changing. People are now going to video on demand, So if you're in that industry, you have to begin to work towards that, or before you know it, you'll be out of business completely. Healthcare and pharmaceuticals. What can you do? What can you produce? What drugs? Sanitizers, PPEs, different kinds of things, education. Now online, we need people to help them put their content online. There are a lot of work to be done in that area. Technology, these are areas, opportunities that we have in Nigeria. Next slide. That one is blank. You can show the next one. Okay. What do enterprises need to maximize business opportunities? One, access to finance. You need to source for funds. And you're sourcing for funds, don't forget that family and friends should also be considered, because usually they don't charge interest or too much interest, And then in Nigeria, when you're looking for funding, don't forget the DFIs, like Bank of Industry, Development Bank of Nigeria, because our own interest rates are 10% and below per annum, compared to borrowing money from money lenders who are charging between 5 and 10% per annum. That is too much interest rate. You're basically working for the fund providers. Access to market. Leverage platforms that allow businesses to promote their products. You need that. Number 3, capacity building. Develop relevant skills within to ensure success. Number 4, adopt digital and technology options. These are very important. Number 5, partner with other SMEs. Don't just stay in your little space. Move around, check what others are doing, how you can partner, what you can do together, so that you can survive together, Next slide. There are examples of companies around the world, who have done various things in this COVID-19 that are innovative. For instance, Lagos State Health Ministry Agency, they have the EcoTelemed platform, which is an e-health platform, which is working well for this COVID-19 period. You have a Central Manufacturing Company in the Philippines. They were able to do anti-COVID dividers for public transportation. So inside buses, they have their dividers, and they can do that and you can imagine how many buses we need that all over the world, and they can customize it. They have seen opportunities in this COVID-19 pandemic, and they're making money out of it. Dubai, in Brazil and Italy, we have Dalia Textile and Italian Albani Group. They actually are able to make virus-resistant fabrics. Who doesn't want that? So you don't have to worry about cleaning all the time. These are virus-resistant fabrics, for this time. Uganda, you have Tokota Plastics. They are making face masks from recycled products. Opportunities at this time. Commonwealth Bank, they have a coronavirus money plan, So you can see that even in this environment, in this pandemic period, there are people who are making money because they have come up with innovative products. I know many of you want to know about Bank of Industry. I won't spend too much time talking about it, but there's enough material for you that they can let you see. BOI is Nigeria's oldest, largest, and most successful DFI. We're 60 years old. In 1959. We are one of the agencies under the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade, and Investment. Next slide. Our vision is there to be Africa's leading development finance institution operating under global best practices. Our mandate is there. Our mission to transform Nigeria's industrial sector by providing financial and business support services to enterprises. Next slide. These are the core sectors we like to support, but of course we do support other areas. Agro and food processing, oil and gas, solid minerals, healthcare and petrochemicals, engineering and technology. And then we are looking at these emerging sectors. Initially, we were very heavy on creative, but because of what is happening now, we have to look at that industry again to see how we can assist them, because they are going through a lot of challenges. Renewable energy, education, supply chain and logistics, and trade. These are the areas we do generally, but we also do a lot of other areas. Next slide. Basically, we cover the micro enterprises, which are small enterprises, and usually they seek finance of 10 million naira and below. We do support them. We support the SMEs. For us in BOI, these are companies that take money between 10 million naira up to 1 billion. Some start with us taking 20 million, they're 50 million, they have now become big, they're taking billions. And some have crossed from SMEs to what we call large enterprises. In BOI, those are the companies that take loans of 1 billion and above. And we have quite a lot of them. Next slide. What do we have to offer? Relatively lower interest rates. All our facilities, we hardly have any facility that charges you more than 10% per annum as interest. We provide innovative financing solutions. We focus on MSMEs, we value companies that will create jobs, we love to finance women and youth empowerment programs, we like companies that provide forward and backward linkages to the economy, which means your raw materials that you are using are sourced locally. We love things like that. Next slide. And we have done various interventions, that you can be. Next slide. We also have what we call the BDXPs. These are people, that help people that don't know how to approach Bank of Industry or put together your package. Sometimes we are the one that even pay them for the services that they provide to the small, medium enterprises. You can go to our website, they are listed there, and you can pick anyone. We don't force anyone on you, and most times we actually pay for their services. Next slide. We have offices in about 28 states of the country, so it's easy to get across to Bank of Industry. Next slide. How to apply for BOI loans? We have requirements are there. I won't go through all of this so that you can have time for questions and answers, but it's there. Next slide. Our interest rates also, we have provided all of that for you so that you can have it to read after the meeting. Next slide. General loan application requirements also provided on the slides for you. Next slide. Those are our contact addresses. And at this point, if you have any questions, I will take them. Thank you for listening. I hope you can hear me. So I will take questions if there are any questions.
Hello, good evening, sir. Thank you so much for the time. That was an amazing section, sir. We appreciate you for joining us and educating us. Someone sent in a question.
Okay.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
It's okay. It's not a big business. It's one of the questions they sent in while Toyin was talking. It's not a big business. It's a business. What about, I think, 20-25 million? So he sent in, what areas can I invest in? My business has been affected by COVID-19. I have small money, but I don't know where to invest it. I am scared. I don't want to lose my money.
Thank you very much. It's a very good question. People keep on asking. They say, I have some money. Just tell me where I can put this money in, and if possible, double it. Anybody that wants to have his money double at this time, it's not realistic. You know, there might be few instances where you might have a bright idea from God, and you are, you're the first person in that particular business, and you can make money. Actually, some business people, analysts, said in the year 2020, if all you are able to do is to keep your wealth, to have the same level of wealth as you had at the beginning of the year, you have done well. I would say, if the person doesn't have any good ideas, there are some banks in Nigeria, they actually have Euro bonds, where you can invest in some of these things in foreign exchange. It's not a bad idea. Some of that money you can put in banks that are doing well locally, that can give you good interest. Though I know that most banks have reduced the interest rate they pay the banks, they pay the customers. In some cases, somebody told me, I have 300 million in the bank. Can you imagine? They wrote to me and offered me 0.5%. I was very upset. I took my money from them. But where do you take the money to? So if you don't have anywhere to put your money, you can buy Euro bonds, because one, it is linked to dollars. So to some extent, you have some protection on the valuation, but don't go and do any quick business that you expect to make 100% return. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I have another question quickly. When we were having the earlier conversation before you came in, one of the things we discussed was, how do we source funds now? Banks are also being careful out on giving out loans. So people are asking, assuming I want to enter into a business that is within the range of 5 140 million. How do I source funds? Where do I go to? Bank of Industry, we couldn't read, probably we'll go through the slides again and see if it's an option, but you can explain to us, because a lot of the people that are your audience tonight are young men and women who are within this bracket.
Okay. Thank you very much. First of all, people say, Bank of Industry, we cannot meet your requirements for security. That is not true. If the loan that you are looking for is anywhere between 5 and 10 million, you can actually get that loan from Bank of Industry just based on people providing guarantees on your behalf.
Wow.
There are some loans, so which means, for instance, but when people come and tell us, I want a loan of 10 million naira, and we ask for 2 guarantors, and you say, I cannot get guarantors. So we say, if nobody trusts you that they can guarantee you, why should you give me the money?
I can't trust you with our money.
So it is possible to get loans up to 10 million naira just by getting 2 guarantors that the bank can verify that these people, they are senior people, they work in organizations and things like that. You can get those monies. The other thing people need to be aware of is that just last week, government just approved about 2 trillion naira palliatives to help Nigerians cope with COVID-19. The process for release of those funds is ongoing now. So in another maybe 1 or 2 or 3 weeks, you'll be hearing a lot of things from government, whereby a lot of new loans and palliatives for Nigerians will be announced. But there's something coming from government, and most of the approvals are already in place. Then they should also not forget that there's the Bank of Daddy and Mommy. Bank of Daddy and Mommy. If Daddy and Mommy believe in you, they will give you the money. But if Daddy knows that you're not serious, he will not risk his money on you. You already spent money sending it to university. So going to Daddy and saying, Daddy, I want 50 million naira, to do a big business, you have to prove to Daddy that you can take that loan. I remember many years ago when I was much younger and I wanted a loan. I went to make a pitch to my brother. I was talking, he was listening to me. Say, I won't give you money because I'm not sure you pay the money back. After I have spoken for a long time, the wife who was listening to us said to my brother, can I intervene? The man said yes. Said, can I give him the money? I believe the man will pay me back the money. And my brother wants the wife. If he doesn't pay the money back, don't come to me. And she said yes. And she took a risk and gave me the money. And by God's grace, I was able to pay her back. Sometimes the way you thought the money will come from, it might not come that place. So don't be afraid of no. My brother said no to me. But the wife, I was not asking the wife. She was just listening to the 2 brothers speaking. Said, I will give this man the money. So they should not give up. You can have 20 no's, but there may be 1 yes. And that 1 yes can change your story for life.
Thank you so very much, sir. There are standing questions. I have this one that I need to ask you before we take an interlude. The person said, I took a loan from a bank. Now my business has not been functioning. Is it possible for me to renegotiate the terms of repayment and the duration?
Yes, it is possible. In fact, virtually all banks in Nigeria today are restructuring the loans of their customers. Government itself have told us, for government money with us, Bank of Industry and other banks like that, 3 months, we should give them some palliatives. Virtually every bank is doing that. And Central Bank of Nigeria encourages it. So I will advise that person to go to his bank with a proposal on restructuring the facility. In BOI, for instance, we allow people to restructure up to 1 year. Because today, some people are not working. Even if you start working today, where you are going to import what you need in China, they are not working yet. So 2-3 months delay can actually become 7 months delay. So yes, he can go and talk about restructuring that facility.
Wow, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so very much. My notes are full. I know a lot of people that are excited. Questions are coming in, but I think we need to take a break quickly. so that we come back. I want to confirm that if I can ask one or two other questions that someone just sent in.
Go ahead.
Okay. Someone said we have a farm in Ota, a very big farm. Okay, I think you have answered this question about assessing loans for farming. Is there any special structure for farmers who are low income farmers?
Okay. Now, questions on farming also comes up. Note, our name is Bank of Industry. So if the loan you want is to have cassava farm, maize, or all of that thing, we are not really the bank to come to because we deal with industry.
Okay.
So for primary production, the bank to talk to is Bank of Agric. But we know that today, Bank of Agric is not as active as Bank of Industry there because they are trying to restructure that bank. So what we do to help our customers is that if what you want to do combine some level of manufacturing, if for instance now the person wants to plant cassava and he says, after I have finished the cassava, I want to buy equipment to make that into starch or to something else, then you can come to us. We cannot use the excuse that you want to make the cassava into starch to give you money. But if all you want to do is just primary production, then we're not the bank to talk to.
Wow, nice. Nice. Thank you very much, sir, for that clarification. We are deeply excited having you today. Our lives have increased greatly, and a lot of people, Nigerians, a lot of questions are coming in, and I think you have answered most of these questions. I'm trying to scroll through to see the ones you've not answered. You have answered most of these questions. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Pastor, thank you so much for coming. We will take a quick musical interlude. Then our provincial pastor will come. Please stand by. Please, sir, stand by. And thank you so very much.
God bless.
Amen.
Thank you very much, Pastor Peter. I don't know why they are all looking at you as Bank of Industry. He's the assistant regional pastor for Region 20 and the pastor of one of our largest churches on the island. So I want to crave your indulgence, sir. I know you are still backstage. You are going to put a word of blessing on this. You have given us great words. But let's receive an impartation from you because that will help us. God has really helped you, and we know that what you carry, if we carry the same thing, something great will happen in our lives. So, sir, kindly, we'll be bringing you back so that you can just say a word of prayer over these young men and women who are here today at this conference. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I tell young people when I talk to them that they have to work hard. You know, most times people tell you that people like Pastor Piton, they were born with a silver spoon in their mouth. That is not true. You know, some of us, if not for the grace of God, will not be where we are. I lost my father at the age of 4. I lost my mother at the age of 13. And God has been good over the years, you know. But if you work hard and you pray hard, you know, God can take you anywhere. So I'm going to agree with the young ones who are listening to me that when others are saying there's a casting down, their own song will be there's a lifting up. Let us pray. Our Father and our Lord, I want to thank you, because I know it's not by accident that I'm able to communicate to your children who are listening to me from far and near at this time. Father, before this pandemic started, you knew it was going to start, you know when it's going to stop, but I'm praying, Father, that in this pandemic, Father, you protect your children and their families in the mighty name of Jesus. I pray for all those who are listening to me, that Father, when others are saying there's a casting down, their own song will be there's a lifting up. Father, I pray in the way that only you can do it, make a way for them in the mighty name of Jesus. I pray, Lord, that when they look back at this year 2020, Father, as we have prophesied before, they will say, "This was a difficult year, but you have been good to them." And I pray, Lord, that Father, the people that you have put in different places, Father, destiny help us, that will take your children from the level they are now to where you want them to be. Father, connect them, their destiny helpers, in the mighty name of Jesus. Father, the mental capacity, physical capacity, and the emotional capacity to be able to go through this time and to prosper, Father, grant unto your children in the mighty name of Jesus. I pray, Lord, when we hear from each other, let it be good news. Let it be well with them. And take all the glory, Father, for I pray with thanksgiving in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. God bless you.
Thank you very much, sir. We are so blessed. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Amen. And so, people, that was the awesome moments that God had prepared for us, and we have seen it. This is day 2, and day 3 is loading already fantastically. Look at the way God did with us in day 1. Look at what happened this morning. This afternoon, Pastor Debola Ateobi was here. Today, we have had our very own Pastor Tony Ojomalade and our Father in the Lord, Pastor Peter Kayode. Tomorrow, by the grace of God, is going to be very great. I know it's going to be great because some other younger heavyweights are going to also be landing on this platform. We have Luther Femi Abegunde coming on board. We have Shola Uweye coming on board. Of course, we are going to be having in the middle of Father and the Lord, Daddy Gio, coming up also to be a blessing to us. So 3 times in the morning for those of us who can join. And then in the evening, we'll be rounding it up, and it's going to be heavily prophetic. It's something you don't want to miss. By the grace of God, I will be speaking on navigation. You don't want to miss that session. It's one session you don't want to miss. I'll be talking about navigation, how you can ride the storm to the dream of your life. That's what I'll be challenging you with by the grace of God, as God has laid in my heart. And then when I'm done, we're going to be having Prophet Issa El Buba, someone who is on fire for God every moment, because you really need some heavy expression of impartation for you to be really ready to express yourself in that new half, the second half that we're about to enter. But of course, before all that starts, we're going to be having the one and only Nathaniel Bassi to lead us in worship. That's why I said you don't want to miss tomorrow. Diarize it. Tell your friends. Tell your neighbors. Can I say something to you? Tell your enemies. They need to be here so that they will leave you alone. Tomorrow, let's fill up the house and let's blow the rooftop. Halftime conference 2020 was specially packaged for you. Don't miss the moment. I'll see you tomorrow, because I'm waiting here all the time just to welcome you. The Lord bless you. The Lord keep you. The Lord be with you. The Lord grant you an inheritance amongst the saints. Make his face shine upon you. The scripture says, they looked unto him and their faces were lighted, and they were not ashamed. You will never be ashamed in the name of Jesus. God bless you. With that, I say to you, let's meet tomorrow morning, 7:30 in the morning. We get started. God bless you.